Welcome to Government, Unit 3, pages 17 through 19. We are going to cover just about everything in the packet. We'll start with 17, and then once we get to 18 and 19, I will be jumping around just a little bit. So you'll want to kind of familiarize yourself with the questions before we get started, so you're just aware of that. But we'll start with all of 17 first. Political parties, that's the whole video. Alright, so what are they supposed to be doing? Why does the book say they're important to American democracy? Because they help you fulfill your responsibilities. They're totally about helping the citizen, right? They want to keep you informed by telling you all about the issues and everything you need to know about the issues according to them. They help you they help your voice in government be heard through them. So as long as you're with them, then you are part of the voice in government. If you're not, well, then they don't care about you. And they involve citizens in the process. You're part of the party, then you're part of one of the two parties that's making a difference in government, as long as you go along with their beliefs. The trend you might hear my voice is that I'm being sarcastic a little bit. That's everything that's in the book. That's what they say. I don't believe it. Their goal is to get elected. They don't care about if they're helping you. If they help you with your responsibilities, and they may, it's incidental. They're about getting power. And their beliefs are not so dissimilar as most people would have you think. A lot of the really big controversial issues, the two parties tend to not get involved because they don't want to pick a side they might lose a bunch of votes on. They both want to pick a safe opinion. And as a result, even though there's so many people that are hardcore one way or hardcore the other way, if you really take the time to learn about both parties, they're not that different and the results are not that different. So what does their party strength rely on? We're going to skip over to page 19. Party strength depends on these elements. This is how they get as powerful they are. One is patronage. Having other people in the party who are affiliated with the party with a lot of money, giving them money. Fundraisers. California, in a presidential election, hasn't voted for a Republican in an extremely long time. And it's not even close. Republicans don't even come close to it in California. But you'll still see Republicans running for president coming to California because there are some patrons, there are some supporters of the Republican Party in California who are quite wealthy and donating their money, fundraising. So patronage, the more patronage that a party has, the more power it has, because money equals power in politics. It just does. It is king. Money above all else, even voice. Enough money put into the system can drown out the voices of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions even. It depends on voter loyalty. Like we said, like I said earlier, two parties, not that different, but a lot of people believe they are. A lot of people believe that the other side, they don't understand that side that well. They think they do, but they just assume they're all idiots. And so they're loyal to their party. I'm Republican red, and I'll always vote Republican. Always. Always. And my son, he will vote for Republican. My granddaddy and his granddaddy. And you know, I don't mean to pick on Republicans because there's Democrats like that too. Like, oh, Republicans, they just don't understand. They just don't care about people. They don't love one another. I'm always going to vote Democrat blue. No. Don't believe in this loyalty thing. Look at candidates, look at issues, issue by issue. When you just blindly vote for one party just because that's your party and you always vote for them, that's why they're so strong. Because they know they got people that are going to vote for them no matter what they do because they're the color you picked, I guess. I don't know. People just vote. And finally, they have a central role in election campaigns. The two major ones have great strength because they're the ones that have center stage. Because of the money, because of the loyalty, and because they have such a long history of being ingrained in the system, people just don't even look at any other parties because they're the only two parties they think exist. There's tons of others. And in our history, there have been times that third parties, fourth parties have come up and messed with the elections and eventually became players. But nobody knows their history. They just go, oh, Democrat, Republican, I have to pick a choice. And you don't! You could pick no one if you want to. Or pick someone else. Do not feel locked in to these two parties because they have such a good grasp on these three topics. That's why they're so strong. What do parties do? Going back to page 17, sorry, still a little burned about that. That's how I feel very strongly about political parties. They select candidates. This you probably knew of. They vet them. They're investigating and researching them, making sure that they follow all the party lines. They think just like the party does. What's their voting history? Have they made any votes that the party wouldn't like in the past and therefore they might in the future? They select candidates to present to you as your only options. There's always other options, but the two parties, Democrats and Republicans, want you to think they're the only options. They select candidates and they go, well, we'll select down to two and then you pick one of them and he'll run against the other party. They select candidates. They set goals. What are they supposed to do? You will, if you pay attention to politics, you hear of platforms and planks. So you might have a patio out back made of wood, and it's made of little planks of wood. So a platform is your overall big picture about what your party's about, and the planks that make up that patio or that platform are your individual opinions on each individual issue. Or I should say the group opinions on each individual issue. So they set goals. They provide leadership. That they definitely do. I don't consider it good leadership, but it's effective leadership. They get done what they want to get done. They want to be the two most dominant parties. They want to have as much power as possible and get as many people elected under their name as possible, and they've been very good at doing exactly that. So they provide leadership to people who follow their ways of thinking. And finally, they are, and this is actually, I don't know if I believe this, they're watchdogs. And, well, I guess I have to give it up a little bit. Whatever party's not in control, it doesn't have the presidency at that particular time, and isn't the dominant party in Congress, the weaker party who's trying to get votes back to get back up on top, they make a lot of noise and bark at the bigger party, making sure that they don't get too crazy with their dominance. And it sounds like this great idea about balancing, so the little party makes sure the big guy doesn't get too strong. But really, it's all about bickering and fighting just to become the big dog. It's not about they really are trying to watch out for the little guy or the weaker guy. They're just trying to become the big dog again. And they do that by looking at the other party and making sure they point out every little teeny tiny flaw that may or may not be true about them. You can see I'm still very passionate about that. Okay, so before we go on to the differences between the two big parties, Republicans and Democrats, a little bit about the history, because this will be on the test. Democrats were founded in 1828 under the leadership of President Andrew Jackson. And they had the very strong support of plantation owners and farmers. So the slavers were actually Democrats back then. Republicans formed much later in 1854 as a replacement for the Whig Party. And I don't really know exactly what Whig means, other than the fact that the reason why that Whig name was picked is because it represents someone who's against tyranny. It just always has been in English definition of the word, which carried on to American. We don't use the word anymore, but generally if you use the word Whig, you call yourself a Whig with an H, not with the hair, then that means you're against tyranny. So the Whig Party kind of died out and the Republicans took their place. Most of the Whigs went towards the Republicans, this newly formed Republican Party in 1854, and their biggest issue was they were against slavery. They were trying to free the slaves. They had also had the interest of business, a lot of big business interests, which actually was the same with the slavers and the Democrats. They were big business people, and the Republican Party, they were supported by big business people, just ones that didn't use slaves. And that's probably why the two of them have had such a long-lasting tenure in existence, is because they have big money behind them, both of them, both sides. And the first Republican president is Abraham Lincoln. So, some differences between Republicans and Democrats. There's a lot of them here on the board, or on the screen. So, important information to write down for page 18. The Democrats started in 1828. Like I said, they've been very powerful for a very long time. They were founded by Andrew Jackson, and they were actually very much supported by slave owners, farmers, and settlers, which is interesting. You tend to think of Democrats being more favorable to minorities and the more diverse party, and now it is true, but their roots, oh no, they were totally in favor of the South, white versus black, and even the KKK were once card-carrying Democrats. Now, not so much. Now, things have been reversed. The Republican Party started in 1854 to replace the Whig Party. Who's the Whigs Party? Don't worry about it. If you study government in college, they'll tell you about it. It's not that critical. It was supported by business interests and people who oppose slavery. So Republicans now, which are kind of looked at like they're the white people party, the old white people party, now they, or in 1954, they tend to be against slavery and more equal rights. And their first president was Abraham Lincoln, and they were supported by, interestingly enough, wealthy business owners who opposed slavery. Both sides, though, notice this, both sides were supported by very wealthy people. Republican Party was supported by wealthy people that were against slavery, and the Democrats were supported by very wealthy people who were in favor of slavery because they owned slaves themselves. Both of them, their foundation though, is among the wealthy. Very little spoken about the common man. So some of the differences, if you read through these, and I would definitely take these down when you're talking the general characteristics, but in your packet. But Democrats basically want to have more government involvement, more government directly helping and aiding people, supposedly. And Republicans supposedly want to have less government, less involvement in your life. Roll government back. There are times when both of them flip-flop the sides. That's not always true. Like Republicans, yeah, less taxes, less government regulation of businesses, but when it comes to women's health, when it comes to abortions, when it comes to religion, they want the government all up in your business. And the Democrats, who want a lot of government involvement, but then they want a lot of hands-off on some really serious things when it comes to crimes people commit. They want to be a lot more lenient and look for alternative ways of dealing with criminals, which is a good way, but some criminals need to be dealt with in a more structured way. So they flip-flop both ways, but usually Democrats are more government involvement, Republicans are all about rolling it back. And that's it. Make sure that if you haven't done so already, complete the textbook assignments for Unit 3, pages 20 through 21. And don't forget the photo quiz. Thank you. I'll see you in class.
Across to my desire, Jesus blessed me with his future, and I'm protected with fire.